Hey everyone, welcome back to
Blue skies all the way. We laugh, we joke, we sing.
Mind Your Health with Brian Dance. So, if you all love this channel, please give my YouTube subscribe, like, comment, give me some love, give me some feedback, give me some amazing suggestions on what you all want to see. So, we are continuing part 2 of Errors in the Way We Think. So, we're going to talk about definitions, examples, and solutions. And I hope you let this positive affirmation stick by you this week. I use my failures as stepping stones. So, I hope you all enjoyed this week's video with Mind Your Health with Brian Dance. First error. Emotional reasoning. Telling ourselves that feelings are not facts. So, I hate to break it to a lot of people. I'm very truly apologize that we cannot use our feelings as concrete evidence in courts, that we cannot use our feelings to predict the future. Feelings are not facts. But here's some examples to better describe why feelings are not facts. You feel your partner is cheating on you because he spends long ass nights on his phone and goes to sleep super late. You start to feel guilty all of a sudden. You think you must feel this way because your gut is trying to tell you that you should be worried about getting corona for going to Target without an essential purpose. You start to feel anxiety out of nowhere. You assume you may get corona for taking your dog out for a walk without a mask. At times, our emotional thinking is led by disorders such as anxiety, depression, and in response to those two, people usually take medication or talk therapy to help them better understand how to make better choices for themselves when they're going through emotional feelings. So, it's best to be skeptical at first about our feelings because sometimes they can mislead us to make pretty unusual choices. So it's best to gather more evidence and more concrete things that we can think about that could better help us make good choices. But here's some solutions that you'll all appreciate. Take notice of your thoughts. When you begin with I feel statements, when you are emotional or upset, recognize that feelings are not the best measure, especially when you are not in the best emotional shape. Consider your partner's having an emotional, tough time falling asleep and has a lot on their mind because of the new living dynamic. Ask yourself how you view the situation if you are calm. Look to see if there's any concrete evidence to support the way you feel. Did going to Target for a non-essential reason qualify you to be a candidate for coronavirus? As long as you practice safe social distancing and from now on know that you should remember to only go out for essential purposes. Give yourself time to allow your feelings to subside. When you are calm, review to conclude if your feelings are consequences of your present emotional state. Your dog has to go outside to use a restroom. As long as you practice safe social distancing and hygiene, you should be fine to take your dog on walks for the restroom, even if you may have forgot your mask one day. Error number 2, labeling. Giving up that name game of ours. Yes, we have that issue of labeling anything, especially when it comes to ourselves. So the definition shares that it's the process of labeling people and events. So when we start to label ourselves as being worthless, dumb, stupid, then we start to become sad because we already have this negative label about ourselves. And when we start to label our career as being impossible or just ridiculous and overloading, then we create this barrier of a definitive label for ourselves. And the best way to go about it is have better positive labels. So, here are some examples that you all appreciate. You get a bad grade on the very first essay that you turn in for your new online school. You feel so low that you label yourself as a failure. You are at the supermarket when an Asian person who has a mask starts to cough inside their mask. You become so angry, so you label the person as a danger to society and a vermin. So, this sounds easier said than done, but let's do our best to avoid negative labels. Because those negative labels are not going to help us, they're not going to support us, they're not going to do any good to us. But we need to understand that people and emotions are complex and ever-changing. But here are some solutions that you all appreciate. Celebrate complexities. We are all unique and ever-changing. To label yourself as a failure for one essay is overgeneralizing. One bad grade doesn't equal a failure. You must find solid proof for every negative label. Does it statistically show that all Asian people are a danger to society? Does it statistically show that all Asian people eat every type of animal out there? Does it statistically show that Asian people are the cause to this coronavirus? No. Error number 3. Making demands and thinking flexible. So the definition shares they are thoughts and beliefs that contain the word must, should, ought to, got to, need to, and they are kind of inflexible and don't allow any margin of error. And they kind of lead to extreme emotions and disturbances. But here's some examples that show how making demands, doesn't support us. You believe that you must have approval of all your followers on Instagram to make them feel happy during the quarantine. This leads you to feel anxious when posting because you do not want to upset your followers for not posting what they want to see. You think that because you try very hard to be kind and considerate to others, that they really ought to be just as kind and considerate in return. But, those demands are not realistic. So, we are sadly governed by their other laws, so their priorities are not ours. You believe it's your priority to help all the people you are providing services to via phone or video. You start to feel stressed because families are not returning your phone calls and your supervisors are giving you feedback for not meeting your numbers. You start to feel depressed. So, creating flexible preferences is very much a healthy alternative to the inflexible demands that we create for ourselves. So, I'm going to share one of my examples. So one of the inflexible demands that I create is no spontaneous adventures. Hear me. No spontaneous adventures. So I know this sounds banana pants, but that's one of the demands that I create for myself just because I'm a control freak and I very much am worried about COVID and people's results. So maybe the adventure that I'm about to share is a little bit, not really spontaneous, but I had to ask everybody about their results. So I created a plan to pick up my friend from San Fernando, and I decided to head out to San Diego, get a beautiful Airbnb, and I picked up my friends in San Diego. We all got to hang out, queer family, and it was a blast. You hear me? A blast of a time. And we kikied, we slept together, we all just family time. It was just the best of times. I just want to go back to that day. So instead of thinking about these demands or these inflexible rules that we create for ourselves, think about these solutions. Pay attention to language. Replace the words like must, should, need with prefer, wish, and want. Limit approval seek. Can you imagine a satisfying life having the approval of everyone you seek? You need to understand that there is a polarity of people either loving you or not liking you. So post whatever you want and focus on the people who are supporting you. Understand that the world does not play to your rules. People live by their own rules, and no matter how hard you try to contact them for session or services, it's not your fault. Explain to your boss the situation, and if they don't understand, go to their supervisors to find ways to problem solve so they can understand the context of your dilemma. Last error. Error number 4. Mental filtering. Oh, yes, very last one. So, the definition shares it is a bias in the way you process information, which you only acknowledge information that fits with the belief you hold. A very famous person has told me, makes me say as well, that sending me home or saying this to me doesn't fit my fantasy. Oh no, doesn't fit my fantasy at all. So, information that does not fit tends to be, ignored, thrown to the trash, never talked about, not acknowledged. So, here are some examples showing how mental filtering is used. You believe you're a failure, so you focus on how no one will hire you because the coronavirus has temporarily closed so many stores and so many places. At the end of the week, you're given a phone interview, but you overlook it because you know that you're a failure and they're just going to reject you and go after someone with more experience. You believe you're unlikable, and you notice each time your friend is late for FaceTime or they seem too busy to respond to your text. You then start to ignore what other people try to talk to you during the quarantine. So, to fight it off, some mental filtering. You see me fighting off? Oh yes, punch, 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 punch. We need to find out what has been negatively putting us down. And collect some evidence, collect some evidence from our parents' house, collect some evidence at our grandparents', collect some evidence at Mount Everest, collect some evidence maybe at the MUDs that contradicts the information processing bias. But here's some solutions that could help us out. Examine your filters really closely. Are you looking at the world through I'm a failure filter? If so, then failure related information gets through. Then you have another friend who's looking through the world in I'm achievable filter who seems way happier. So decide which filter will better fit your end goal of wanting a new job. Gather evidence. Imagine you're collecting evidence for a court case to prove that your negative thoughts are not true. What evidence would you find? Would the quality of being unlikable stand up in a court case against the proof that your friends are being friendly towards you? So I would love to give big thanks to Cognitive Behavior for Dummies. Yes, great easy language, great affordable price, and easy reading. So if you love this week's video, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And I hate to say this, unfortunately nobody participated in my last giveaway. My giveaway is going to be increased to 2 times as much. More information will be given on my Instagram. So I hope you all enjoyed this week's video.
You like it? You like it? watch my body just